I remember having two voices inside my head. Nobody knows your name. You don't even know how to do this business. And a millimeter away, the other voice was like, imagine changing people's lives for a living.
My guest name today is Dean Graziosi.
Dean Graziosi.
Dean Graziosi has made millions of dollars in writing books and teaching people about the real estate industry.
Money controlled every one of my mom's decisions. She had to hustle 3 jobs. It was never enough. We lived in a trailer park. And I just remember being young saying, I can't have this. I got to take care of my mom.
What was the first decision you made that changed your life financially?
I lived in New York. I had a Dean Collision Center, Dean Auto Sales. And now I say, I'm going to go in the information business. Whatever scares you, you got to go to the dark side. It's hitting the nitrous. Get the rocket off the pad.
Press the red button.
I went from barely making it to like 3 million to 5 million. And 2 years later, I was doing 70 million a year.
We have an exciting event coming up.
We're going to show you how to identify a passion that you have. We're going to show you how to extract it, how to turn that into a product that people want. You could fall in love with what you do. You don't care when work ends and life begins and life ends and work begins. We kind of want to shake people and go, please look at this opportunity. Hey, it's Dean Graziosi, and I truly know what it's like to want more, desire more, and not sure if you're going to achieve it. But I also know the other side of living into your full potential, showing your family what's possible. And I am one of the passionate few.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Passionate Few podcast. Today we have a very special episode as we're live here in Arizona with none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Dean Graziosi. Dean, thanks so much for being on the show again.
Good to be here, man. Always good to see you.
Yes, sir. This time we're here in AZ, so thank you for having us, man, here in the studio. So I want to get into it. A lot of people have seen the landscape of business change over the last few years, right? Things are going crazy in the political climate, the economic climate. We just heard about Trump being indicted on these 34 charges. But before we bring up any of this, I want to talk about your story in particular, because you're somebody who has not only adapted to the landscape of business time and time again, but before you became, this entrepreneur, this thought leader, this guy who's worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. Take me back to your childhood and where you grew up and how you kind of got into entrepreneurship to really take control of your destiny.
Yeah, a great question. And seriously, always good to see you, man. You've always been such a great support of things that we've done. And I love watching you grow and the impact you're making and some of the great interviews you've done.
Thank
those
you.
of you watching, thanks for being here or listening today. Thanks for being here. I'm in a good mood today. I'm always in a good mood, but I'm in a mood today because we are at a place where life is shifting so hard. Mm-hmm. And those that wait, those that are gonna see what happens, those that get a little uncertain and play a little small, I feel like they're gonna be left behind more now than ever. Mm-hmm. Well, simultaneously, if you're just one step ahead, this is the time truly to thrive. This is the time that you can make leaps and bounds, but you gotta be in the right spot with the right guide, the right tools, the right map, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I love that we're doing this interview right now. It's why I love that Tony and I are doing a big event here coming up soon. We'll talk about later. It's because in a landscape like this, I believe, and I'll get to my story in a minute, but I really want you to hear this. Things are so uncertain that I truly believe there's more opportunity because more people are going to wait. Mm-hmm. And I think if you wait, the catch-up game is going to be too hard. I mean, think how fast AI is moving. Right. A year ago, people said, oh, there's this ChatGPT thing. Now there's 1,000 new AI companies a week being launched that do everything you could possibly imagine. People are afraid it's going to take my business, take my job. Probably not. It's going to empower those that learn it, and people who don't are going to be left behind. Mm-hmm. There's all these shifts. So if you're a little uncertain, if you feel like you've been playing a little small, you're like a little dabbling, kind of part-time in, part-time out, doing your own thing, or you found a groove with your company, but you know you should be making twice as much and you're hesitating, congratulations for being human. Mm-hmm. It's a tough time, but simultaneously, if there's one thing we could spark, to be disturbed with your own inaction, disturbed with hesitating, then we did our job today, Omar.
Absolutely.
So let's try to spark that. I'm saying yes today. I'm saying no to this one thing, or I'm saying yes or no more, or I can't take it, or I'm all in.
Yeah, decisions shape our destiny.
They do.
Yeah.
Right? And we can make them in a moment, right? We both learned that from Tony Robbins, right? We can make them in a moment. So hopefully we spark that today. So you asked my journey. I want to give a little context. So it's not just about me or my journey, but more we can loop everybody, all of us in together. If you're watching Omar, if you're here right now, that means there's another level of life for you. You are. Every time I meet you, you're striving for that next level. I want to be a better person. Right now, we just talked for the camera. I want to be a better leader. I want to help hire better people, train my people better, grow as a business. You attract people that want to grow. That's a fact. We all have that in common. We all know we're meant for more. But sometimes a lot of us are in the wrong boat.
Right.
You're rowing really hard, but you're in the wrong boat, rowing in the wrong direction. I don't care how hard you work, you're never going to get to your destination that you want to be. So what I could say is maybe this we all have in common. For me, we all have something that sparks us. For me, what sparked my early desire to be, I didn't know the word entrepreneur, I was probably 10, is my mom and dad split when I was 3. My dad didn't have the means, or he just didn't support my mom, so she had to hustle 3 jobs to make about $90 a week, which would be more in today's money, but it was $90 a week. It was never enough. We lived in a trailer park until we got evicted from that. And I just remember being young saying, I can't have this. I got to take care of my mom. I mean, 10. I'm not talking 20. I'm talking 10 years old. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. It's probably the reason I didn't go to college, because I didn't want to wait. I needed to take care of my mom sooner. And it drove me, because what I saw was that money controlled every one of my mom's decisions. She couldn't be there for my games, or couldn't be there to cook us dinner a lot of nights because she was working. Why? She didn't have the money.
Yeah.
She couldn't take us on nice trips. Why? She didn't have the money. She got married to 2 more idiots later on in life, probably because maybe it was going to be a little more comfortable, and it didn't work out for her. So I was just programmed like, hey, money can solve problems. People say money doesn't solve problems. When I retired my mom when I was 24 years old, and I've given her a check every week since I was 24, which is 31 years ago. I just bought her a new house last year. I buy her a new car every 2 years. I solved the problem when I got that money.
What does that feel like for you?
Oh, it's the greatest gift in the world. And the thing is, I didn't share that about poor me. What I'm sharing is we all, so let's loop in this together. We all have something that can disturb us into moving, to take uncomfortable action, to face your pain, to face imposter syndrome, or it's too busy, or the political landscape, or my parents don't believe me, or my parents paid for this degree, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a doctor. I want to go do my own thing. So all of us have that thing. My kids don't have that hardship, but I still want them to have something they desire, because you need something strong. For me, that was just that. I'm just giving you, it was a thing that sparked it. But once I started taking care of my mom, Omar, I had to replace that with something just as strong. If you're not moving fast enough right now, if you think you're procrastinating, or you think you need time management, I'm going to beg to differ, politely beg to differ, and say you just don't have a big enough purpose. You gotta do something that disturbs you. Who's somebody really important in your life?
My family, especially my dad's health is really sensitive right now, but my family and my family's health is super important to me.
Yeah. So do you have brothers, sisters?
Sister.
You have a sister. Close to your sister?
Yes.
Okay. Where's she live?
California.
Okay. So right now, I want to share this, and this might seem extreme. If I said, hey, your sister just ran out of gas in California, and she needs your help, but you can't use your car. You got to run there. You might go, I love my sister, but she's pretty resourceful. She'll figure out how to get gas.
Sure.
But if I said your sister got in a car accident and she needs your kidney right now, but you can't do anything except run there. I know you, because I know you personally. You would stop talking right now and you would run out that door 100 miles an hour, and you would run your ass to California. True or not?
Absolutely. With
tears in your eyes, getting it. Look at the goosebumps. Look at my hair standing up, right? I didn't mean to make it so extreme. But if our depth of purpose, if you just go, I need to make more money, I want to get that first Rolex, I want to quit this crappy job, I want more freedom, it's not enough. You go, not enough. But when you get into a deep purpose, I wanted to retire my mom, but then I ended up not wanting to be like my dad. I love my dad. He's a great man, but he struggled with money his whole life. He struggled emotionally his whole life. He was physically abused as the youngest of 12 in a family, and he never got help for it. So he always struggled, always getting married. His family didn't talk to him. I ran away from that too. And then all of a sudden I got a bigger purpose of wanting to create a different family. You know how important family is to me. So I'm so obsessed with being in control of my calendar, control of my time, control of my decisions. This morning, before I came here, I took my son to school. I made him lunch. I'll pick him up from school today. He's 15. He's going to be gone soon. I could never have anybody say to me, oh, sorry, Dean, you're busy today. You can't go pick up your son. I would die first, right?
It's a standard.
I've replaced my mom, getting her retired, then not being like my dad, then getting to my first $1 million a year so I can do this. And then now, especially being partners with Tony, we feed millions and millions of people around the world. We build schools. We do cool stuff. I get to support my family. So I've always replaced this deep purpose. As strong as you running out this door to take care of your sister, you need that, because will you doubt yourself? Yes. Will things go wrong? Yes. Will the economy change? Yes. Will inflation go up? Yes. Will interest rates go up? Yes. Will everything you think with a partner that you think is going to go great, will it fall apart and will they let you down? Yes. I'm not trying to be like, oh, that was positive. No, that's all going to happen. But if we have a deep enough purpose, then we figure out something that is the greatest gift of all. We figure out how to be resourceful.
I love that you say that, and that leads me to the next question I have written down. For you, Tony talks about how decisions shape our destiny, and sometimes, it's either inspiration or desperation that moves us. Obviously, for you, you've done a phenomenal job at adapting over the years, but I'm curious, early on, was it desperation or inspiration that really drove you to change your life, change your income, change the game?
Hands down, desperation. And I might want to say, maybe that's not the politically correct answer, but absolute fact.
It's the truth.
And for me, you know who... Tom Bilyeu. Do you know Tom?
Of course, yeah.
He's
Had him
a
on
dear
the
friend.
show. Yes.
Dear friend. Tom's so smart. One of the smartest guys you'll ever, especially understands personal development at the deepest level.
Articulate
right?
as hell.
Articulate. Like, I talk to him like, I'm so not as smart as this guy. But one day, him and I were having a conversation just like this, and he said, yes, most people are afraid to go to the dark side. And I was like, I think we're talking about the same thing as you just asked me. I'm like, what do you mean by the dark side? He was just that. He's like, people talk about it's not healthy to be in the dark side. I need to be inspirational. It's like, but sometimes the inspiration doesn't move you enough. So I look at it. I don't know if you know cars, but did you ever see a car like in a movie and it's got nitrous oxide?
Yep, and they press the button.
They press the button. Poof,
Fast
the car
and
takes
Furious.
off. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I look at going to the dark side, moving away from pain, as nitrous oxide.
Press the red button.
Press the red button and you could get a boost.
Make the scary
do you know
decision.
what happens? But do you know what happens when you hold down nitrous oxide in a car for too long? Car blows up.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
you can't put it at that RPM, that much juice. It's like rocket fuel. An engine is combustion. It puts in this super powerful gas. It explodes, goes fast. But if you hold it down too long, the car blows up. So I say use the dark side. Use moving away from pain as nitrous oxide. Like, I want to start this new business. I'm just a little scared. I'm going to end up like my dad. I'm going to end up alone. I'm going to end up not having money. I'm going to get to the end of my life and never living to my full potential. Whatever scares you, I can't retire my mom. She's going to work until she dies. Whatever scares you, you got to go to the dark side. It's hitting the nitrous, get the rocket off the pad, and then go to the inspiration and let that be fluffy and puppies and clouds.
Yeah. And there's a great expression. It says, what got you there will keep you there. And it's a sort of vague quote, but what I find so powerful is I've learned about it and I think about it all the time, is certain decisions that you made to get to a certain place, whether they leveled you up or kept you small, keep you there. And so it's like, okay, well, if I want a new quality of life, it's not going to happen in comfort. I'm going to have to metaphorically press the nitrous oxide, but in some level, whether it's a financial investment, a time investment, an uncomfortable conversation, whatever it is. So I love that you say that. And I want to talk about the first milestone that changed your life. For you, I think you've done a great job at covering your story. You worked on cars. And one thing you've done really well is you've always taken something you had and leveraged it for a business opportunity and then leveraged it for the next business opportunity and the next one. And you've done that really well, right? You see that exactly like with Tom, right? He built a $1 billion company with Quest. Yeah. Before that, had a multi-million-dollar company. So he leveraged the lessons from the million to the billion, then to impact people. But it all started from the same core. And it goes back to turning your expertise into a business, into a knowledge-based business. For you, what was the first decision you made that was scary, that changed your life financially, taking a skill and turning it into a business?
Yeah, really great question. I know the moment. I started in the collision shop, collision repair, and I ended up having, by the time I was 21, I had Dean Collision Center. It wasn't huge, but it was doing pretty well, and a couple of tow trucks. And then I started buying apartments.
Yep.
Really rundown houses and making them into apartments.
Was that scary for you too at that time?
Of course.
Because you're 21. Yeah. It's not like nowadays everyone's teaching it. Like
no, I was trying to figure it out on my own. I was just navigating. I was hustling. I'd work on cars all day and go home, eat, and work on houses till midnight. Almost every night of my life.
And the drive for you was desperation to get out of your situation.
Get out of my situation. Not take care of my mom, not in being like my dad, having control of my decisions. I think one of the biggest things is watching my parents, that money controlled them. I'm like, if I control money, then I can be a better version of me. I'd like to say I had it all figured out in my plan. I was just running away from pain. Just
Yeah.
being honest, I was running away from pain.
Hey guys, we'll get right back to this video in a sec, but first, I have a quick question for you. Given that the e-commerce industry is growing by the trillions year over year, have you ever dreamed of running your own e-commerce business like many of the guests we've interviewed on the show? But maybe you felt overwhelmed about where to begin? Lucky for you, today's sponsor, Zendrop, solves this exact problem. You see, with Zendrop, you simply select high-quality products, add them to your store, and they handle shipping and fulfillment while you make the profit. No more guessing games on product sourcing or dealing with inventory hassles. Zendrop's platform is designed with you in mind, making it incredibly simple to launch and scale your dropshipping business in a one-stop shop. Plus, they're offering an exclusive deal. Sign up today through our link below, and their team will personally craft your very own store to kickstart your e-commerce journey. They even have weekly coaching calls to answer all of your questions and help you get up and running in no time. It's truly more than just a platform. It's your e-commerce partner waiting to join you on the path to success. So why wait? It only takes 5 minutes or less to sign up. Simply hit pause, head over to zendrop.com/passion, and let's turn your passion for e-commerce into a thriving online business today. Thank you to Zendrop for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the show.
And I love that you bring that up because so many people talk about money in a very politically correct format, right? When they're on personal development podcasts. But for people, it's really real, right? And I know I've heard this quote. I forget who I was interviewing, but he was saying, when you don't have money, all your problems double and triple. Because now, say your mom's behind on rent, that's a problem. But now if you can't help her, now you got another problem. Say you pop a tire. Oh, I got to fix the tire. That's problem one.
I don't have the money for the tire.
I don't have the money. That's two. Oh man, I need to go into my credit card. Oh, now I'm in debt. Now three problems. And so by not having money, your problems multiply. And so that's why it's very important to get control of that, to control your life, right? Not that it's everything, but that it can very quickly blind you to see the everything that truly matters.
So, and I'll finish that.
Yeah.
I'll finish the question you had. So collision shop, auto sales, real estate. I started building houses, and I was getting some momentum, and then I bought Tony Robbins' course about 27, 28 years ago.
How many times did you see the ad for Tony before you made the decision?
Probably 3 or 4. Yeah, but I watched them one night. It was with Tom Selleck. Some of you don't even know who Tom Selleck
I know Tom
is.
Selleck, yeah.
Magnum PI.
That's right.
He was on there, and some great testimonials. I'm like, man, this guy just sounds like he's talking to me. I'd never bought anything like that in my life. I never paid for information. Mm-hmm. And I got his course and I devoured it. I'm sure you remember the first time you listened to Tony Robbins stuff, right? Like,
I could not stop.
Right, me neither. So it was so long ago. It was a cassette tapes.
Yes. With
a Sony Walkman with orange earbuds, and I just remember walking, and I'm like, oh my God! Like everything I thought was real, but I had no one in my life, Omar. Maybe you never did at that time either. That looked at it through a lens like Tony, that made you realize no matter where you start, you can go anywhere. That you could take your past that you thought was your anchor, and it's actually the wind behind your sail. That what if your past was designed for you so you could be the man you are? All this stuff, you could focus on solutions, you could shift your beliefs and have a new story. And I'm like vibrating.
Yes.
And I'm like, I have goosebumps right now talking about it, and it was almost 30 years ago. But 2 things happened to me at that time. I saw a new like person inside me. Life happened for me, not to me.
Yes.
But secondly, I'm like, this guy sold me information.
Yes.
It changed my life, and he made money. I'm in. I shifted my career, my thoughts that day. So I want to tell you, I never usually tell it this depth. Usually it's like the story. Yes, and I shifted, and it was hard, and it wasn't all that. But the fact of the matter is, I lived in New York. I had a Dean Collision Center, Dean Auto Sales. I'm selling 5 cars at a time, right? A tow truck company, 20 apartments, building houses. And now I say, I'm going to go in the information business. I'm going to create a product, teach people how to make money in cars, make money in real estate. Because Tony inspired me so much, and I'm on fire. I'm thinking, I'm going in the information business. A lot different back then. You understand, there was no internet. You couldn't go on social media. You couldn't find people. I had to build an infomercial, $150,000. I had to buy $25,000 in media just to test it. I had to buy $25,000 worth of books to put in a warehouse, pay the warehouse, all these things. But I'm all in. I'm like, I am doing this. I'm going to do like Tony Robbins does. And so if you really think about that, I'm going all in. I'm taking every dime I make to build this. I have no clue what I'm doing.
Do you have a coach helping you at this
Nobody. I am clueless. I'm watching Tony's infomercial and just writing guessing. My own and trying to find. And so I fly out here to Arizona, where we are today, and I find a media buyer who used to work for one of Tony's companies. I'm like, awesome. And they had a little company. It's how I live here. So now I started a little satellite office out here to be close to people who knew this industry. And I'd fly back to New York, flip cars, flip a house, take the money, come back and like dump it in a hole here. So I'm in the middle of this juggling, and I'm running out of money, and I borrowed money. And in the midst of it all, my sister, who I love dearly, and she's an awesome woman, she's really successful, she drives from Virginia to New York to sit me down like an intervention and just said, enough, Dean. enough. Like, we're proud of you. Look what you did. You have a family that came from nothing. I was probably making 200 grand a year back then, more than anybody in my family had ever made. And now you went in debt. It's going to take you 5 years to go out. And she said to me, you are not Tony Robbins. Nobody knows your name. You don't even know how to do this business. You didn't go to college. Why are people going to learn from you? All the things that I know people think literally got put on me. And I remember thinking, maybe you can relate to this. I remember having two voices inside my head going, I don't care what she says. You're meant for more. You can do this. Imagine changing people's lives for a living. Imagine getting rich, changing people's lives. Maybe I don't use the word rich in today's world, but
Sure.
in that, I was like, I can get rich for changing lives. Sign me freaking up. I'll sacrifice my whole life to do it. I can do this. And a millimeter away, the other voice was like, you freaking idiot. You're going to go broke. Who the hell's going to listen to you? Tony's 6'7", you're 5'7", on a good day.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like all these things. I remember literally going crazy. And then one just that day I was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm going in. What did Tony say? Burn the boats. Don't have a plan B. I burned the freaking boats. I probably thought about quitting 100 times in the first year. I almost got completely broke. I maxed out all my credit cards trying to figure this out, running an infomercial, TV, media, call centers, all these pieces.
How bad did it get financially?
Really bad. Really bad. I mean, down to the house I was in, I sold, and I used all the money from the house I was in. I sold it and used those proceeds.
And this is like anxiety every day.
Oh,
like, how am I
anxiety,
gonna-
stressed. Literally, when my biggest show hit, I was maybe 3 weeks away from every resource tapped.
Wow.
And,
So you
and that's
burned
the
the
stuff
boats.
nobody sees. That stuff nobody sees.
Yeah.
I had sold my house. I rented a little house that had a little like dollhouse out back. I converted the dollhouse to a little office, and I was in there hammering out books and trying to get things done. And then, not like overnight it hit, but it hit, and it hit on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I went in 1 year from barely making it to like 3 million to 5 million. And 2 years later, I was doing 70 million a year.
And all that wouldn't have happened had you not, in a moment of fear, made the decision to trust yourself versus not. It's funny you say that, Dean, because, and I mean this, when I believe it was 2015, 2016, I had been hearing Tony Robbins and loved the seminars, but I was the same type of thing. Like, I'm not going to pay for information. What's this get rich stuff, right? I didn't pay attention to it. Then I got to learn Tony's stuff, and I learned it wasn't about getting rich financially. It was about getting rich internally.
In your soul, because then it comes out.
That's right.
What did he learn from Jim Rohn? If you want to get better, if you want things to get better, you got to
need
get better. Right?
Yeah. And I've seen that time and time again, even in terms of my business. When I level up, I somehow attract people that level up. You attract clients, opportunity, business. But for me, it was $1,000 investment to go to UPW. I think the general admission ticket was like $5.99 or something.
You upgraded.
Yeah, I upgraded to the VIP, right? It was literally, I probably had $2 or $3 grand in the bank. So for me at the time, that was
a third of your net worth.
Yeah, it was, and it was like $1,000, and then I got to fly there, and I got to get the hotel, and I was like, well, what's included? Nothing, just the event, right? But I was like, screw it, like I can keep them, because money's cyclical. I learned this from Russell Brunson. Money's cyclical, meaning like I'm going to spend it somewhere. The only question is who I'll be when it comes back and what I'll have to show for it.
That's really good. I like that.
And so I invested in the seminar. I went, and at the event, Tony goes, if you want to be like the best in the world, ask him. He talked about Roger Bannister and the 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
He talked about, I believe there's a nun sister, I forget her name, but
Mary Helen.
it was at her. And then she started running older in life. And he was like, if you want to find the best in the world, ask them. And I remember going, oh yeah, why don't I just ask them? And lo and behold, that would turn into the podcast.
This podcast. Oh, how
and this
awesome
moment,
is that?
I used to see you on TV. I used to see all these gurus and personal development people and leaders. And I literally, that $1,000 investment led to millions of dollars and millions of views and impact in my own life.
love that.
But it all started when I was timid, investing in an event that I was skeptical about, but something in me pulled me for more. And so I just wanted to share that with you, because in a parallel
love that
way,
story.
it changed my life too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so simple. If we just give ourselves permission to do the scary thing, it opens up a whole new world.
A moment of courage can change your whole life.
100%.
Just a moment.
That's right. Now, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to talk about the information business, right? Because it's something that you've not only excelled at, you've consulted for some of the best in the world, some of the most elite in the world, myself included. You've helped me a ton. I want to talk about, how do you see the landscape of the information business changing? Obviously, We have an exciting event coming up June 13th through
Yeah.
15th called The Game Has Changed. But can you talk to me a little bit about from your own perspective, because you've adapted really well to different markets, the internet,
Yeah.
social media. So how important is adapting in the landscape of business, and B, how do you see it shifting?
Great question. Some things never change, and some things change exponentially. I can look at this through the lens of almost 30 years doing it, and my partner, Tony Robbins, 44 years. We got 74 years in this industry between the two of us.
Wow.
Cool part is we've been doing it the longest. I don't know the only person I know in it longer than me is Tony.
That's right.
That's still doing it.
The OG.
And secondly, though, the cool part is we didn't used to do it. We're still doing the biggest events in the world. This event on June 13th will have 1 million people.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane, right?
That's awesome.
I feel so blessed. So let's talk about the stuff that doesn't change, and then the importance of the stuff that does. What doesn't change is creating something where you fall in love with your clients, you fall in love with their outcome, and you fall in love with the service of the product you create. Now, sometimes when people talk about sales and hardcore sales and closing, they forget that campaigns come and go. And you've been in this long enough to see somebody, oh, did you hear so-and-so is rocking it? Why don't you see them 18 months later?
Sure.
Because they had a campaign. They had a sales campaign. They had a sales funnel. They got applications to a hardcore close to a $20,000 product, and they were gone because they forgot the most important part. Change lives. Make stuff so good. Look at us talking about Tony Robbins.
Right.
I hope and I feel blessed that I get it wherever I go. I love it now with my kids. People stop. I have to stop you. In 2007, I was going through XYZ and I got your book. And like they'll lean down to my kids and say, "Do you know what your dad did for me?" I could cry thinking about it because they'll like grab my kids and go, "He's just your dad, but he's the man that got me off drugs, or he's the man that got me in business, or I have this because of him," right? Mm-hmm. I want to be better at that every year. And I think that the foundation of what's allowed me to do this every day in my life for almost 30 years is trying to evolve to do more for other people than anyone else can, to truly live inside their fears and help solve them, to live inside their goals and help them achieve them and get better, stronger, faster, and fall in love with them, that if I'm not delivering that, I got to step up. I got up at 3:30 this morning. I don't need to work another day in my life. I'm working harder than I ever have, Omar, because I want to serve more, give more. And I have to tell you, being Tony's partner, he's that every day. Our phone conversation, what we can do more. How can we make it better? How can we serve these people like nobody? And you know what Tony's biggest line is? He said, "Don't make happy customers. Make raging fans."
Yeah.
He's like, screw that happiness or happy score. I want people out of their mind. Like when you go to your favorite restaurant, like, oh my God, you got to go. You got to go, right? So that's the foundation of something that never changes. Second thing that never changes. We must market through service. Instead of hardcore closing and a hardcore closing webinar, deliver value where people go, that person cares. They understand me. I'm going to give it a shot. Watch that. With the people who last, you'll see the subtle difference between the perfect sales formula, and you can tell when someone goes, that person's, they get me. Right?
They care.
They care. So those two, throughout time, 500 years from now, be the same. What changes is the technology to make things happen. If you think, I told you when I started, I had to do an infomercial. I had to build product. I had to put it in the warehouse. I had to ship it. I had to have call centers. How this industry has gotten exponentially easier is because of this thing that's in our pocket. We're attached to the world in here, and we can find our ideal client. So that made it exponentially easier and easier. You could get started with $25 on Facebook or no money with building social media and finding, Facebook groups and places where your ideal client hangs out. So many strategies to start. I love thinking as first sale, next sale, consistent sales. To get your first sale and next sales, you can do that in today's world with the right plan without spending $1. How has that changed? The game has changed, right?
Yeah.
But where it's changed, I look at it 30 years in this, it's been growing like on a 45-degree angle. Not only is it growing exponentially as far as it's $1 billion a day industry right now.
How big is the market cap?
$1 billion a day.
Wow.
It's $1 billion a day.
So we're talking hundreds.
380 billion a year.
Wow.
And they predict by 2028 it'll be $1 trillion a year.
What about people who say it's saturated?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
yeah.
So as it's been growing, but the last year with the right AI and the right technology, it's gone straight up. Because now the hardest part, getting off the blank page, laying out the foundation of a course or a workshop or a mastermind or a monthly community or a monthly Zoom call. Somebody looks at a blank page. We've been teaching people, Tony and I, for 6 years to do it. And I think we teach it better than anybody on the planet. But now you can get AI that literally thinks like Tony and I that you go, what would Tony and Dean do for the 6 training modules of this? Right? How would they market this? What would be their headline? What would be their email? What would they put in their ad on Facebook? And it thinks like I do. I mean, think how much the game has changed. We're going to reveal some of that in the 13th. And whether it's our stuff or someone else's, it's changed exponentially. But here's where you stand out. People say we're in the information age. We have been in the information age for a long time. We are flooded with information. We are overloaded with information. We are drowning in information. But we're starving for wisdom. Starving for wisdom. And what that means is everybody, I'm not saying use AI to build everything or build some crappy thing, because that's not working. When you have the ability, that's why Tony and I love sharing what we do, is to create something that has a flow and a process that you can't wait to sell, you can't wait to share, you can't wait to impact, because you're condensing the learning curve for someone else, right? If I've been there and you haven't, and I give you a map, my God, you get there in 10 minutes, not 10 hours, right? But simultaneously, we teach people how to get results for others. How do you set it up in a way? How many times have you watched a YouTube video where you're inspired, but you don't change anything in your life?
Or you don't know how to take tangible action on it.
Because it's not set up in a way to keep you accountable, to get you to take action, to get the results you want in spite of yourself. And I think that's why Tony and I, since we started this mastermind journey that we're on, that's why I think it's become a movement. We're in 140 countries. Millions of people have come to our events. Transformations everywhere is because we're teaching people how to extract wisdom, even when they think they don't have it.
Hey guys, quick question. Have you been enjoying this video, but you're thinking to yourself, man, I love this content, but I want to learn how to grow my brand or my business? Well, if your answer is yes, you're not alone. In fact, millions of entrepreneurs deal with this exact same issue. And it's something that I've learned the answer to from interviewing 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs around the world. And this philosophy that solves all that is a concept called who, not how. Now, the who, not how philosophy states that anytime you're stuck on the hows to get to the next level in your life, your brand, or your business, that there's always a who to help you get there. And it's for this exact reason that I'm super excited to announce that I've officially launched our brand new Passionate Few community to help you do exactly that. And yes, it's 100% free. Join me and the thousands of other entrepreneurs that can help you make your life, your business, and your dreams a reality. With no further ado, let's get back to the video.
And it's funny because I remember in the past seeing you guys teach this stuff, and then little by little, every time I'd meet a new success story, I'd ask them, how did you start teaching, whether it was guitar or piano, or some people it's marketing, like all these little pockets of people that turn this little side hobby into the thing that literally pays their mortgage or takes care of their family, turning their knowledge into a business. I want to ask for you, what was the hardest part or biggest challenge in terms of, I know last time you told me something that stuck with me and my marketing team forever called marketing stamina.
Yeah.
I literally mention that to my team all the time, thanks to you. How important was marketing stamina, just to zoom in on how many iterations, for example, on your first info products you made, right? So I'm sure your first, you mentioned some tough times, you've had to pivot. What has become your sort of, Dean Graziosi's framework for thinking about, okay, I'm going to turn my knowledge into a business by trying this. I might need to pivot to try this.
Such a great question.
Because a lot of people out there might hear this and go, okay, cool. I have knowledge. I have stuff I'm passionate about, but I don't know how to sell it. And if I put it out, maybe I don't get feedback from my Instagram and Facebook, like in the early trenches. So what advice do you have for people for how to think about adapting it with enthusiasm? Because hey, it could work. This is how you pivot it. I pivoted it to millions of dollars. So, what's your advice on that?
No, it's great. So I have to start. I'm always going to start kind of going upstream in the head.
Sure.
So I love Og Mandino's book, The World's Greatest Salesman. I love scroll number 2. I will persist until I succeed. You have to start with that.
Yeah.
You have to start with, this works. Think about if you said, this big heavy thing, planes can't fly. They weigh all this. I can't even get a paper plane. It weighs nothing to fly. How do you get a plane to fly? You would never question that, because these big planes get off the air and they fly. So what does that have to do with anything? If you just said to a stranger, hey, build a plane, right, without guidance, really difficult. But it's really hard to say they don't fly when you see them above your head. All I want to say is the people that you see working, their campaigns working, it's running ads or they have posts and it's just over and over. It is working. Their plane is flying. They just stayed with it long enough until they found it could work. They persisted till they succeeded. They listened to what their clients said. They found Facebook groups with similar people, understanding other people's fears, understanding people's desires, understanding their goals, what they stress over. When you live inside the mind of your prospect and you can answer their questions, finish their sentences, help them achieve the goal they want, there's gonna be a moment where it just clicks. But the reason I use the whole plane analogy is so many people try 2 versions and go, marketing doesn't work. Here's what you say. Marketing doesn't work. No one knows my name. The market's too saturated. People don't really want this. It's all a lie. You just haven't tried enough versions. In that same, I know you've read Agmendino's book, but in that same scroll, he says 2 things. He says, we've gotten confused. We think the prize is at the beginning of the journey. It's at the end. Secondly, he said, you never know how many corners you have to go around until success is on the other side. I look at how many obstacles you got to go through.
Yeah.
Some people go through 3, their 3rd ad, their 3rd try, rocket ship.
Yeah.
Some people need 30. Some people need 50.
Yeah.
It just depends on your stamina
Yeah.
to keep moving forward. I got to tell you a quick thought here. My book, Millionaire Success Habits.
Yeah. I was just going to ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that book, when I switched, I was teaching real estate education. Tony said, you got to write a book on your success habits, man. I loved it. So that's why I wrote that book. So I write Millionaire Success Habits. Everybody knew me as the real estate. I was the #1 real estate educator in the world, right? We're doing events all over the country, all over the world. I write Millionaire Success Habits. Now I'm in this industry for 12 years already, 15 years already, right? We launched the book. It's flat, Omar, like flat. I start thinking about it. I try another version.
Like no sales, low
Like
sales.
100 sales a week online. And I'm
Yeah.
used to, we're selling
Yeah.
thousands and thousands, right?
Was it, sorry to interject,
No.
but I want to get in there to the belief because I know a lot of people there can relate in their own life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A pivot, a major decision. Were you loaded with limiting beliefs like, I'm the king of this niche? Am I overstepping?
Yes,
Am
yes,
I
that's what I'm saying.
qualified? Are
I've been
people
doing
gonna
this.
call me out?
I'm
Like-
teaching people they could switch niches, they could evolve. Now I'm like 3 months in, this book's not selling. Literally. So the reason I'm sharing this is I'd like to say I'm perfect. No, I'm the same as you.
You're human,
I remember
yeah.
telling people, what an idiot. I shouldn't have taken all that time. I should have wrote another real estate book. People know me for real estate. It was all a lie. Literally 3 months, 4 months in, about ready to quit, Omar, no exaggeration. And I just started listening more. And I remember to this day, I just took my marketing message and I said, I held my book up like this. So I just want to tell you how quick things change. Like in an instant, I held the book up and I was shaking it in this ad. And I said, there's no way in this book to make money, and money doesn't fall out of it. I just know that so many people are chasing the how to get rich for doing nothing things and they're all over online. I just went upstream and created a book to set the foundation for success, how you should think and what habits. So if you want the magical money machine, it's not this. You want the habits of the most successful people I've ever met. It took off like that. Within 3 weeks, we were selling 5,000 books a week. We went to 8,000 books a week. It's over 1 million copies.
And you didn't change anything in the book, just the marketing.
That's the stuff that I know you know. We didn't change the landing page. We didn't change the cover of the book, the price of the book, nothing. I just changed the marketing message. And I know I probably shared that with you before, but it's so, because it had to remind me. I was about ready to give up, and that book wouldn't have touched so many lives. It turned into courses and masterminds and workshops, and it allowed a lot of people to see, hey, you're more than the real estate guy.
How many different ads did you try?
Oh, lots. 50, 100,
Really?
150.
So to you, in your mind, I love what you said earlier. So for you, it starts with the belief. And I asked this because I have a cousin in the military who told me this. He told me in the military, they train them that there is always a path to whatever result you want. You might not have it, but
Then you go find
your
it.
struggle doesn't justify the fact there is a path. If you want to accomplish X, there is a path, period. It exists. It is within your tangible reality. If someone else could do it, you could do it. It's just a matter of who's willing to do whatever it
love
takes
that.
to figure that out. So it starts with the belief. So for you, is that what it is in your business now? Because I'm sure nowadays you do it at bigger levels, right? I'm sure you never would have thought that Tony from the TV would pop out and be your friend, and you'd be doing an event for millions of people, changing their life and business. So I guess.
Yeah, so the new mindset, just especially since Millionaire Success Habits really shifted it, anchored it in for life.
Okay.
So now there's never a time if it's going to work, it's when.
Okay.
And
So you
when
start
you have
with
that
the
new,
belief.
when you have that new, when you have a philosophy, just when. I mean, right now, when you're listening to this, we're doing that big event June 13th. I just want you to know that when you go to the page and reserve your spot, and it's a free event, we'll talk about it here
we'll
in a
put a
little
link
bit.
here as well down below. You guys can check it out.
Great. When you go to that page, that's probably the 20th page, because we want the most people to land on that page and go, oh, heck yes, I'm registering. We've probably had 20 versions of that page, right? We test the emails that go out. Like now it's just a part, like everything is a test. Everything takes time. Everything works as long as you work it, as long as you stay with it. And do you mind if I digress here for
Absolutely,
a second? I want to
yeah.
share 3 quick things, because we're talking about things and you might go, oh, 1 million books must be cool. I want you to know the same philosophy that helps you sell 1 book is the same as you sell 1 million books. But if someone just asked me truthfully, what is the secret to success? Like, Omar, it's a million things. You got to be a leader. You got to juggle people. You got to be innovative. Got to be creative. Got to be good at marketing. Got to be good at communication. Got to be good at impact. Right? You got to be able to have somebody at home that appreciates that you're working so hard and not complaining every day. Like all those things. But if I really boiled it down, it's 4 quick things. And I'm going to share it. Number 1, make sure you're getting involved in something that's growing, not dying. An easy example, an example that's like so obvious is you wouldn't want to invest in taxi cabs right now that there's Uber, right? So you want to get in, Alex Hermosi said that to me, he's a dear friend. You want to be in the right boat, rowing in the right direction with the tide behind you, not in the wrong boat, rowing against the tide.
Yeah.
So number 1, pick an emerging industry. There's lots of them. That's why I love this industry. It's growing exponentially. Number 2, model proven practices. You didn't have the opportunity to do that. When I was a kid, there was no internet. There was no, I had to buy Tony's course. When I was really young, I had to read books, right? We have the opportunity now to find somebody, to find a mentor, go work for somebody for free, buy their course, get in their coaching program, listen to podcasts, right? But don't start out like in the dugout. Start off on third base. Find somebody that's already achieved what you want to achieve. Start off where they left off. So number 1, right? We got to be in something that's growing. Number 2, we need to model proven practices. Number 3, I already shared about it. You need a big purpose. You need a purpose so big that gives you goosebumps, gives you tears, that you'd be willing to die for it. So I don't have to talk about that anymore. And the last one, I already said, you got to persist until you succeed. So I don't want to overcomplicate it, but if you are in the right industry, modeling someone who's already done it, and you have a purpose so big you're not going to stop, there's no way it ends without being successful. I don't know if that's a year or 5, but that's the ingredients to success.
I love that. And then for this event, June 13th through 15th, I know you guys are going to touch on there. I'll be attending the event. A lot of our students and clients will be as well. Can you talk a little bit more about what you guys are going to go over in the event, who's it for, and maybe who's it not for?
Yeah. I don't want to blanket it so big. It's for every single person watching, but if you fit in these buckets, I kind of label them in my head. 1 is the investigator. You're unfulfilled in your career, or the business you started, it's just not you. And everybody feels like you should be happy, but you're meant for something more. So come investigate and see how this industry could be for you. Number 2 is the part-timer. Sometimes the dabbler. I'm kind of doing my own thing, kind of not. You kind of get in, you're almost there, you get scared, you go back. I get it. Maybe you haven't had the right path, the right plan, the right guidance, the right map. Come. And then lastly, if you own your own business and you don't have an information product attached to your business, you're missing out in a massive way. Come and see how you can have an unfair advantage by attaching an information product to build your credibility or to create revenue. And what are we going to do? Over 3 days, and Tony's fired up. This is going to be the best one we've ever done. We're going to show you how to identify the asset that lives in your experience, whether that's a career skill, a life experience, a passion that you have. We're going to show you how to identify it, how to extract it, how to turn that into a product that people want, how to find the people that want it, how to sell through service. Day 2, I love talking about sales and turn it into service. That's my jam. Day 1 is mostly Tony. He's going to crush it. Day 3 is Tony and I. Day 3, how to deliver it with confidence. And here's what I'll say. Even if you've never thought about doing this, or you think it's for other people, or you think it's saturated, if you know you're meant for more, come. I mean, how often do you get Tony and I for free for 3 days,
Never.
right? Yeah. You paid $1,000 to go to the last one. This is 3 days, about 3 hours a day, and we are fired up. But most importantly, we are going to reveal something that is going to change the game forever. This sounds extremely confident, but the game has changed, and Tony and I are changing it forever.
It's exciting.
And who not change it? We have the resources, we have the time, we have 74 years experience. Between the two of us, we have almost 400 employees. We have the people, the time, the elements, but we have the most important reason. The most important thing is, why the heck are we doing it? We're doing it because we're at a place in our lives where we want to shake people and go, you got to look at this. You can have life work integration. You could fall in love with what you do. You don't care when work ends and life begins, and life ends and work begins, because both of you are growing as a better human. We kind of want to shake people and go, please look at this opportunity.
Yeah.
It's an industry heading towards $1 trillion a year. You can learn from 2 guys doing it for 74 years. You can have technology that condenses months and weeks into hours. And it's not a pie in the sky. It's a realistic way to wealth, abundance, freedom. And that's why we're doing it.
And I love too that it's so much like not as complicated as people think. Like a lot of times people complicate things, or say you want to start a product or a physical product or some of these types of things, they take a lot more steps along the way. But when people realize that they can tap into things that are already inside of them, experiences they've already had, knowledge they've already had. And even one more thing,
it's an inflation buster. Because if you probably saw Warren Buffett 2 years ago when he said, in times like this in inflation, what kind of businesses should you start? And he said, absolutely nothing that has a lot of startup cost.
That's right.
Absolutely nothing that has inventory and product cost, because you'll get eaten alive with inflation. If you're selling these cups for $5 and you're paying $2, all of a sudden gas goes up, inflation goes up, and they want to charge you $5, you're out of business, you're done.
Yeah.
All your startup money, all your inventory, you're done. What better than selling what's in between your ears? It's one of the most valuable assets. It costs you nothing to buy. Your life experience is what you already paid for it, but you paid for it with your life experience. Yeah. You don't have to store it. You don't have to put it in a warehouse. It's extremely valuable. You can sell it over and over again. I mean, it is the inflation buster.
Yeah. And I know for me that changed my life, because when I first started, I would do these personal development podcasts. Nobody listened. And then people started reaching out for coaching. And I remember it, little by little, I didn't even know how much to charge, right? It was like, first I was like, oh, I'll do it for free. And then it was like $100. And then someone offered me $1,000. And then little by little, people were like, hey, can you help me with my podcast? Hey, can you help me? And so I found that little by little, just by having the confidence to share what I'm good at and passionate about, things actually come to you a lot easier than you realize if you just had the courage to give yourself permission. And I remember, I forget who it was, but I think it was you in an old video, but you said something to the effect of, if you don't have the courage to share it or offer it, how could anybody ever have the courage to buy it?
True story.
Like, so like sometimes we get in our own way and we don't see it, and we blame the market or the economy or whatever it is. I want to ask you one more quick question.
Yeah, sure, please do.
What are some of the craziest success stories you've seen in terms of industries? Because I'm sure a lot of people might be hearing this and going, well, easy for you, Dean, easy for you to sell info products. You've made millions of dollars. You've had all these books. You've had all these things. But going back, you were a guy at an auto shop, right? And
yeah.
So you turned something very human, and a lot of people have their own version of their own auto shop in their own life already, who are watching or listening, no matter where in the world they're at. So could you share with people maybe some of the crazy success stories that have even blown your mind of people who've turned their knowledge into a business?
Yeah, I have to tell you, and I was watching this guy, little crazy, little aggressive sales trainer, and he started blowing up all over YouTube.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, who am I talking about?
Andy Elliott.
Yes.
We're actually interviewing him later today.
Okay, so he's blowing up all over the internet. And people are saying, man, this guy's insane. He's aggressive. And I'm like, oh, cool. And, some people are absolutely nuts over him, younger generation. Sure. A couple of people in the industry like, he's a little to the point. Sure. And I think he's the perfect person for this time in history. I think sometimes when something goes so far to one side, people want to rebound.
Sure.
I think during COVID, everybody's very timid and shy, and now it's like just get me. I just want to go.
Yeah.
And he's filling that void, right?
Yeah. Take off your shirt. Let me see the six pack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. So not my style in any way, right? But 3 or 4 people. Finally, Russell Brunson comes to me and says, "Hey, man, I just interviewed Andy Elliott." I'm like, "Yeah, I saw some of his stuff." He goes, "Do you know that guy's absolutely loves you?" He bought KBB 5 years ago when he was a car salesman.
Wow.
He gives you 100% of the credit for saving him and his family's life. And I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I didn't save his life. We gave him a course and gave him a spark. He's like, no. You got to meet this guy. So my wife and I went and met him. And the guy that I see on videos, I was like, I'm just going to be honest. I was like, I'm not sure I want to meet this guy. I'll just do a Zoom, right? I don't want to meet him. And he was like, please meet me for dinner. And I got to meet the guy stared at his wife the whole time, held her hand the whole time, had tears twice during dinner, just a completely different guy. Heart-centered. He said, I made some mistakes in my past. I want to tell you about them. I'm not that man anymore. This is what I'm doing. I care about people. I want to change lives. You gave me an opportunity. Now I'm on fire to help other people. This is a guy doing over $100 million a year. 5 years ago, he was a car dealer, a car salesman.
Wow.
And he said, you made me realize that I was the best at car sales. I could take that and help make other people the best. And he said, I wanted to leave my old life behind. And when I listened to Tony to get in my heart, and you got in my marketing and sales mind and my heart, he's like, everything changed forever. And it was unbelievable. And so being able to see that, and I'm not saying you at home, you're going to get a program, work with Tony and I and make $100 million plus, but it shows what's possible.
I mean, you might.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but it shows what's possible. But every single day, we get someone who's been a mom, and kids finally leave home and not sure what to do, and we give her the strength, the courage to realize she is enough, she knows enough, she could do this, and all of a sudden she's doing amazing things, helping women through divorce, or helping people stop with alcohol, or helping, through trimester 4 after having a child. Like all these, every day a new business is emerging.
Yeah.
Now Andy's up here, and we have some people making $10,000 a month, but they were to quit a job that killed them, right? But even better, I love the byproduct, and I don't throw out money a lot, but I believe we have more successful students than anyone I've ever met. And success to me and Tony, and I know it's the same with you, Omar, it's not just about money, because money without fulfillment is the emptiest life in the world.
Yeah.
And I think why we built such an amazing tribe is because we care about the human condition. We work on your emotions. We work on making you feel unstoppable, to overcome imposter syndrome, to overcome those insecurities and stop missing opportunity. And then we have an opportunity that took us 74 years to figure out, with technology that can allow you to go faster. So when you combine those things, I think that's why we get so excited. That's why there's going to be 1 million people at this event. I hope you're going to join us. If anything I said today excited you, be at that event. It happens once a year, and it's never been like this one.
Yeah, and we're going to actually have a link down below, and we're going to set up a little community as well for people to help support them in that journey. And I love too the fact that you guys are doing this event from a place of actually having the data, because a lot of people can teach stuff, but you guys have been in the trenches, so you've seen the trends, you've seen the market trends behind the scenes.
We get to grease the spots where people get stuck.
Exactly, and you get to, Wayne Gretzky says, the great skate to where the puck is, but the best skate to where the puck is going.
Yeah.
So you guys have kind of that insider knowledge on where the puck is going, where the landscape is going, wherever people are at right now. One more quick question before we wrap up, and I'm really excited about this event, is knowing what you know now, being on this side of the fence, right? At one point you were a dreamer, maybe your bank accounts were empty, and you were that crazy guy, Dean. So being on this side of the fence where, you've experienced a little of success you've fed millions of people, you've had the impact, your dreams have realized, and I know there's always a new level, right?
Of course.
You conquer one world, then all of a sudden you're with Matthew McConaughey, and I'm like, dang, this guy never stops. What advice would you give to the younger version of you to get further faster, maybe to get out of your own way, or give yourself permission? Just because I want to speak to the men and women around the world listening who maybe feel something, but just for whatever reason don't give themselves that permission. Being on this side of the fence, being a multi-millionaire, what advice would you give to the younger Dean who is maybe getting in his own way, how to get unstuck?
I wish I would have shifted the limited stories, the stories that I told myself on why it won't work for me. And we all have them. You still have them. I still have them.
How would you do that?
What I would say, when you say, hey, I would like to do this, I'd like to get to $100,000 a month, whatever the, or freedom or control. I want to get to $100,000 a month doing this. But whatever that is, just do that exercise for me today. But man, this is a tough time, but there's a lot of competition, but I failed before, but I'm a procrastinator, but my family, they put me through law school. I think I should be the lawyer. What is that but? That's always a story. That story is heavier than anything else. And I wouldn't have said this in my 20s or 30s. I would have said, get in the right boat and row hard. Andy Elliott style, right? But now I know it's like, no. It takes this shift first before you jump into the boat and start rowing. So I would find out, what is that but? What is that story? And then just go prove it wrong. Now, it's 2 quick ways. I'm going to take 2 minutes because this is really important. Sure. 2 is find somebody achieving success at a level you'd like and go look at their story. I guarantee that same crap was in their story and they did it. And you'll find another and they did it. Prove it's a lie. You got to prove the story is a lie. And then you got to craft a new story. How do you craft a new story? Whatever that, I can make $100,000 a month, or whatever the number is. You might be already making that. If you are, it's more. I could make it but, and then you find that story that's limiting.
But I don't know how to. But I don't know what to sell. What do I? Yeah.
I'm not an expert. No one knows my name.
Right.
My family will think I'm crazy. So let's say that's a huge one. Yeah. My family will think I'm crazy.
I'll look weird on social.
Right? Yeah. So I would love for you to get to the end of. Think of this. Do this, and this is. We'll wrap it up here. You get to the end of your life. You get to meet your maker. You're sitting down with your maker, and he says, "God, Omar, you had so much potential. God, I just saw so much in you. In fact, let me play a video of the man you could have been, Omar." And plays a video of a life of more abundance, more freedom, more control. You found yourself. You gave more to charity. So why didn't you get there? Imagine if you said, well, I was afraid my friends and family would think I looked weird. Would you just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot. Can I please go back, right? So that story has weight today. At the end of your life, it'll be the thing that you regret so much. So if that's the case, Why not give it the credit it deserves now? Nothing. It is the part that you have to face. Your next level of life lives on the other side of the thing you're afraid of, your fear, or even hesitant to. So shift the story. That's Tony Robbins 101. And he's going to be talking about that day one. Day one, he will crush your soul. He'll crush all those limiting beliefs. But it's when you get out of your way, when you shift the story, when you find a new meaning, nothing can stop you.
I love that you say that. And I'll wrap with this point about that. One of the exercises I've done in my life, anytime I get scared, there's opportunity or decision or I'm unsure, is I do something similar. Jeff Bezos talks about this, I believe it's called the rocking chair litmus test.
Yeah.
So at the end of his life, when he's on the rocking chair and he's 100 years old or whatever it is, he goes, how would I feel about either doing something or not doing something? And he talks about this concept of act as if you messed up your whole life. And all of a sudden you got to you messed up, you got to the end, you meet your maker, and you're just thinking to yourself, God, I wish I would have done the thing. I wish I would have believed in myself. What? For a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 or a couple uncomfortable actions, I could have done the thing, but I didn't. And as a result, I didn't live my destiny or take that action or start that thing, whatever. And then he goes, imagine you snap back into your life and go, oh shit,
I'm here.
This is my second chance. And live this life as if you messed up the first one and this is your second chance.
I love that.
So make the scary decisions, do the scary thing. I myself never would have dreamed of having the business I have, meeting people like yourself. I was a huge fan of your books. Now it's funny, I was telling my team, on my bookshelf, I've met almost all the authors I looked up to. Thanks to you.
Amazing.
I got a message from Tony Robbins, and I still, till this day, it's my most prized possession. So thank you for that, sharing the story. And he sent me a personal message. But it goes to show that a lot of times all the things out there that we all seek are really just a matter of giving ourselves permission. So I want to thank you for not just opening that up for millions of people, but myself directly, because had I never done that, I wouldn't be here living my dream. So I'm excited for this event, and I hope people can get a sense of that as well.
Yeah, well, it's been fun watching you grow, man. Keep up the good work, and thank you, everybody. I hope to see you at the event.
Thank you so much, guys. As always, Dean, where can people find you before we wrap up?
Instagram, @Dean Graziosi.
Awesome. We'll put some links down below. Make sure to check out the event on June 13th through 15th, everybody. It's going to be fun. It's going to be Dean, Tony, helping you change your life and business forever. So see you guys on the next episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, go live those dreams. Peace.